All right, no way. 2 videos in 1 week? I don't know what the world's coming to. So yeah, I mentioned in the last video that I would give you guys an update on the 280. I know that not a lot of people are into these cars, but that's okay. This video I'm gonna make it's gonna be like a general video on like rust repair. Now, when I say rust repair, there's 2 different kind of ways you can go about this. The first one is if you have rust that's got like holes in the metal, these chemicals that I'm going to show you it's not going to do anything. It's not going to help you, and it's not the right way to do it. Okay, this car here had a hole right here. Okay, and I just went ahead and put a patch panel. Now my welding looks kind of crappy, and we're going to do some more body work on this. But that's really not the point. The point is that if you have a hole, you want to replace the metal. Okay, there's another one here. There was a hole. This whole section here was replaced. Okay, this is metal. None of that's Bondo. So, you know, we're gonna do body work over this, but again, using these chemicals is for surface rust. So it's just going to be in spots where the hole's not through, okay? Okay, we'll start with an update and then we'll get over to what I actually want to show you guys. So here's the frame rails that we got. These are the Apex Engineering frame rails, and they are full-length frame rails. Now, the frame rails that come with these cars, they only go to about, I would say right here. Okay, that's where they stop. So 280s and 240s, the S30 chassis, they're kind of like a unibody where they rely on like these rockers. Okay, they rely on the rockers to stiffen the chassis and make it connect the front frame rail to the rear subframe. So Apex Engineering, that they came up with this frame rail that goes from the front all the way to the back subframe. So it wraps up and around here. I still have some seam sealer to do in here, but it wraps up around and connects to the rear subframe, okay? So yeah, this is much better than you would get with like a stock frame rail replacement. This is much better. This connects the front and the rear. So now you have the frame rail connecting the front to the rear. You've got the rockers connecting the front to the rear. That's going to significantly strengthen the chassis, okay? So the rear, I know it looks kind of messy, but the reason is because I'm doing a fuel cell, okay? I'm not going to reuse the stock tank. The stock tank is just not in good enough shape for me to reuse, and replacement fuel tanks for these are $700 and up. And yeah, and the tank I'm gonna get actually is gonna have more capacity. It's gonna be like 17 gallons, and I don't think the stock tank is 17 gallons, okay? And the other reason is that when I started really digging into it, you can see there's holes in this section here. And someone tried to repair it, but I don't want to, I'm not gonna leave this. This is all gonna be cut out, okay? So the fuel cell I got is gonna have all Dash 8 fittings on it. It's gonna have a fuel sending unit. It's gonna have a outlet right here, okay? Or I should say an inlet right here. It's gonna be below the surface. And let's see, I got the tube over here. What we're gonna do is just kind of switch it over to, normally, this would go straight down into this hole here, okay? So what I did was I flipped the filler up, and then this is now gonna be connecting to here and then go down into here. So there's gonna be a hole here where there wasn't originally one. So, you know, we'll have to, later on, we'll make like a panel that covers that. But yeah, it's gonna be much cleaner looking, and yeah, it's gonna be better. Like I said, this is going to be cut out. There'll be a, I'll put some kind of a plate over this and maybe do some like Zeus fasteners or something that I can remove it so that I can get to the top of the tank where all the and fittings are going to be. I think that would be kind of nice, not to just permanently weld it, make it kind of removable. Okay, so moving on from this, I'm going to get into what this video is going to be actually about. And that is showing you what I found to work the best for repairing surface rust. Not rust that's all the way through, but just surface rust. This here is the underside of one of the fenders on this car. And again, the rust on this is not through, it's just surface rust. The other side is actually really good. Now, okay, here's a good example of what we're gonna replace. So here is actual a hole in the fender. So this whole section is gonna get replaced, and I actually have the panel right here. Okay, so when the time comes, this panel is gonna get welded into this whole section. But this video here, I'm only just using this panel just to show you guys the fixing the surface rust. So here we go. You got a couple choices here. I've used 3 different products. I've used the Harbor Freight one, which I don't have the can here. Just look it up online. It's Harbor Freight's version of like a rust reformer. Okay, I've used that. It's not that bad. It works decent. Okay, this here, the Rustoleum rust reformer, I don't recommend it. This just covers up rust. This does not reform it. Okay, it just doesn't. Okay, and then this here. This I came across at my local hardware store. It's a Ace Hardware, True Value, whatever you want to call it. I found this. It's called SKYCO. Here's the name. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it, but you're going to have to look it up online. This stuff works the best. Okay, so I put it into a little spray bottle here, just a regular little spray bottle to help me use it. And yeah, and here's the reason why this stuff works the best. It's because it dries the slowest. Okay, if this makes sense. This stuff here dries really fast. So what does that do? That doesn't allow the rust reforming part of the chemical reaction. It doesn't allow it to occur. Okay, the Harbor Freight stuff that I used actually dried a little bit slower than this one, but nowhere near as slow as this one. Okay, so there's like acids and stuff in here, and if you read all this stuff here, it tells you about the etching properties and all that because of the the acids that are in it. The acids in it that are in it is what fixes the rust. Okay, so this rust reformer has it, but the problem is, like I said, it dries too fast. So I have tried it on a few pieces, and then I've actually went back and kind of ground it down to see what it fixed, and the rust is still underneath. It didn't fix it. Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna try a few different ways on this, okay? We're going to leave this scale on here and put the chemicals on, put the different rust reformers on there, and then I'm gonna take the scale off and we're gonna try it. So we'll try it on, I can use this section here for the scale portion of the test, and then maybe over here we'll take the scale off and do the same test. So the reason I wanted to show you guys that, not descaling it and applying the rust reformer is because there's some areas where you can't get in there with tools to descale it, like in the frame rails or under the seat rails and all that. Okay, there's some areas you can get to, some areas you can't. Inside this frame rail, you can't get to it. You can't get in there to descale it, okay? There may be a spot you can spray the chemical in there, but you can't descale it, okay? So anyway, I just wanted to give you guys a that option of doing it both ways. All right, guys, so let's check this out. It's been about, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours, and I'm not sure how well the time lapse came out, but yeah, and it's almost dry. So that should be a pretty good test. Let me take the tape off here. Wow, it's soaked up under the tape. And over here too, you can see how it just like wicks. Okay, so I got a little scraper and I'm gonna see what happens when we scrape it. Okay. So whatever rust was there pretty much turned black, or it's totally gone. So as you can see, it turned this into this. Okay, so obviously you would need a little bit of prep to paint that, but let's come over here and check this out. So are you guys seeing what I'm seeing? Yep, it just covered up the rust. That's all it did. So that was this stuff here, okay? Rust reformer, and it does not reform rust. It covers it up. This reforms the rust. You can scrape this, and there's no rust underneath it. Maybe a little tiny bit here, but if there is, I mean, you can always reapply this stuff. But I mean, look at the difference. I mean, this stuff actually did what it says it's gonna do, okay? So now what I wanna do is to be fair, let's do another test, but on this time, we're gonna go ahead and clean up all the scale. I'll do it over in this section and we'll clean the scale and then we'll do another little test spot like this, but over on this side. So let's wipe this down a little bit. So I got this down to where it feels smooth to the touch compared to this up here, which, obviously it feels really rusty and rough. So we'll go ahead and we'll put a piece of tape back on it. We'll split it in half and do both parts, and then we'll see how it goes. And I'm gonna try not to get it on this side. Okay, that should be enough. And then we'll take our green stuff. I don't even know what to call this stuff. Skyco? Skyco? I'll call it Skyco. I don't know, like Geico. And I was reading the directions on this, and you have to be extremely careful. This stuff is, like, if you get it on your skin, or you breathe it, it's really toxic and it like really burns. So with doing this little tiny bit right here, I'm not too concerned about it, just not getting on me. But if you're spraying in big areas, just be aware that this stuff is it'll burn your skin and everything. So anyway, I'm not gonna do another time lapse because I don't think it came out very well, and we'll just, we'll let it sit. I'll come back and I'll show you guys. Alrighty, we're back, and let's check this out. It's pretty much dry, about 90% dry. This side dried like in about, I don't know, 2 minutes. So anyway, we're gonna do the same little scraper test here. You can already see, I mean, this side is, you can see where it didn't get, you know, where I didn't spray it. And it seems like whatever's left over is like this black stuff that it's not rust, it's just like black. I don't know what you would call it, but so yeah, so that's that. And I'll scrape over here. Pretty much the same thing. It did a little better. I'll say it did a tiny bit better, but look, if you can see this brown, that means there's still rust, okay? And when there's, I watched the video, I don't know, maybe a month ago, a guy did a really good detailed explanation about rust. And rust is moisture. So that what you see there, that brown stuff, there's still moisture trapped in this metal. Okay, and what you just did by putting this stuff on there, okay, is you just encapsulated the moisture into your metal. Okay, that's all you did. So you're gonna have problems with that in the future. Guaranteed. This is, I feel way more comfortable that this gets this down to bare metal. Okay, and coincidentally, this stuff's a lot cheaper too. I think for this whole quart here, and it's lasted me quite a while, I've used it on quite a few things. I think it was just maybe a little more than 1 can of this. I think it was like $10 or $11. And these Rustoleums, I don't know if you find them maybe on sale, but this was like $7 or $8. Okay. So yeah, this stuff 100% wins. Well, not this, the Skyco. The Geico stuff. So that's pretty much what I wanted to show you guys in this video. You know, other than that, we've made some really good progress on this car from what it was just a few months ago. So I'll be getting the fuel cell in a couple days, and then I'll cut this out, and then I got to come back here and scuff all this up. And then we'll prime it and all that. I'm not going to be removing all the paint, just scuff it up because it's in really good shape. So you don't have to go to bare metal if you've got good paint. Okay, if you got good paint that's stuck really well, you don't have to go to bare metal. In a lot of these areas, I did. I went all the way to bare metal because there was some of that surface stuff in here, and I used a lot of this. Okay. A lot of this was used in here just for little surface stuff, okay? And it worked great. I mean, it really, really did. This primer's been on here for, I don't know, about a week and a half. And if you had rust underneath there, you would start to see it, okay? And you also might be wondering, why did I prime only part of the car? Well, you know, right now it's starting to get warm and humid in Florida. So you can do that. You can prime part of the car and, you know, go back and prime the rest later. It's not a big deal. And remember, you always do your body work over primer. You don't want to do body work straight to bare metal. Okay, you want to prime it first. This is a good 2-part epoxy primer, and you know, it's not a big deal. Like, there's a lot of body work that still needs to be done. Like I showed you over here, there was a patch here I did. What else? This whole section here is a patch, okay? And yeah, so you just go back and then you do body work over it. I filled all the holes, welded all the holes for where there used to be a trim piece. Yeah. So anyway, this video is starting to get a little long, but I just wanted to go over that rust reformer stuff and to give you guys a good idea of what works and what doesn't. So anyway, that's going to do it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Check you all later.